Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Barber and I will be presenting my Self and Perception Project number 2 here for you today. The purpose of my presentation is to share what I have learned about my own self-concept and how this knowledge will help me improve the connections between my sent and received messages. Too often the way we perceive ourselves affects the way we communicate. If we're only forming messages from our own point of view, we are not able to be sensitive to our intended audience. This can potentially distort the message being sent and how it is received. By analyzing the style of communication used and tailoring it to an audience that will be receiving it, message quality is increased and a more positive and desirable outcome can be achieved. In a society which is becoming more global, and understanding how the messages we create and tailoring them to receiving audience can build bridges instead of distance. Understanding ideas and concepts and the ability to share them is an imperative skill we should all have a grasp of. Let's review some concepts. Reflected appraisals is often developed early on and reinforced by significant others, people whose opinions we especially value. Understanding how reflected appraisals affects us is important as it can foster confidence or crush hope. Confidence is born from reflected appraisals and carried with us through life. Social comparisons come into play when formulating how we will address an intended audience. If you consider yourself a daughter, you may be more relatable to your audience than if you lead with, "You are an all-powerful being." Finally, our culture. If you're part of a highly individualistic culture, you may be more prone to making claims that highlight and possibly exaggerate the extent of your accomplishments. Conversely, if from a more collective culture, you may downplay a career's highlights and defer to more humble and modest achievements you've made. Many factors can influence the interpretation of a message. Psychological, cultural, and social influences have an impact on how we select, organize, and interpret data from others. The three areas I've chosen to concentrate on are representative of my personal experiences and areas I wish to apply my new skills to. Health and nutrition, especially mental health, can affect the message that I receive, and it can lift or shatter my mood if I think I hear or note something in an exchange. When I don't honor a healthful diet or I don't get enough sleep, it can be detrimental to the focus and communication comprehension I have. Occupational roles. Now, this is a bit extreme. It's an experiment that was conducted in the 70s by Stanford psychologist Philip Zimbardo. In his experiment, he divided 21 young men into guards and prisoners. The extremes this mock society went to was so accelerated that the original 2-week experiment was cut down to 6 days as the guards went rogue. Given free rein to create their own societal rules, these men took the directive to the extreme and illustrated how, given unclear direction, interpretations can be vastly and drastically different from what the intended message was. Relationship roles: an employee with a boss, a superior to a subordinate, a leader with a follower, or even peer-to-peer. Yes, it is true you can have serious candor with a friend and joke with a colleague. However, knowing when and who is receptive makes a very big difference. Being confident in my abilities and knowledgeable about a subject creates a positive frame for communication. The behavior I use will reflect the authority I have on a subject, and my audience will be able to decipher the message I am sending. If done well, they will be able to understand the concept or idea I'm sharing. A receptive audience generally would give positive feedback, which in turn will boost my self-confidence. Win-win. In a culture which is becoming more global, understanding how messages I create and tailoring them to my receiving audience can build bridges instead of distance. Understanding ideas and concepts and the ability to apply them to is an imperative skill. I feel confident that going forward, my ability to utilize these skills will foster much more successful communication with the global society I am a part of today. Thank you.